What's going on, guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital, and we're here with John Lee, CEO at FLYN Nickel. It's nice to have you back, John. How are you doing?
Yeah, so thank you for the invite, Aaron. It's good to be back.
Yeah, so let's start with a quick update on FLYN Nickel. Since we last spoke, I know you guys have been up to a lot.
Yes, well, Aaron, I think a lot is an understatement. Recall that I came onto your program around March, and that was exactly when FLYN Nickel had debuted on the TSX Ventures under the symbol FLYN. And that also coincided with the unprecedented action in the metals market, where nickel price went from $10 a pound to $50 a pound, and that caused havoc on the London Metals Exchange, and which halted the nickel trading for 2 weeks. That was unprecedented, and it turned out that the halt was to facilitate the exit, a big exit short position by a Chinese tycoon. And because LME was owned by the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So since then, the nickel market has calmed down, and the price has gone back down from $50 to 10, and the market is quite calm now. However, that March climax turned out to be the peak of the market. So while we came out with the IPO with much fanfare with a bang at a market cap around $100 million, and the stock tripled on the debut at the $1.40, the stock has gone down 90% back to where we are at around 20 cents. Nonetheless, in all this meanwhile, the markets have calmed, but Elon Musk continued his quest in securing the nickel that he needed for his Tesla cars. So, for example, he had gone out done a deal with Vale to secure his nickel supply. He's also had a deal with Madagascar, with Trafigura, and only just 2 weeks ago, he made an announcement to secure nickel with the government in Indonesia. So while there's a lot of sort of things are calm, but beneath the surface, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and the demand's still there, and it's only going to increase. So, in terms of your company, FLYN Nickel, you guys just signed a letter of agreement to acquire Nevada Vanadium Mining Corp. This is a very unique acquisition. Can you tell us more about this and the company that you're acquiring?
Yes, the stock was halted yesterday, and I think it was resumed trading as of this morning. And we're still very bullish of nickel. But sometimes an opportunity came, and which we have to evaluate, and we thought it was an excellent complement. The letter of agreement to acquire Nevada Vanadium is a vanadium project, and where the FLYN Nickel's standpoint, we're looking at this acquisition, is that the Minago project, the nickel project that the company owns, the FLYN Nickel, has over 1 billion pounds of nickel already being developed, and that cost over $40 million over the years to prove at that resource. So now that's going to be difficult to top, and any incremental money spent on it is not going to make a big difference on that resource. So we felt like going forward, because it's the cost to explore and the time it takes, that a friendly merger with another project that has already established resource makes more sense, particularly given that vanadium is also a critical metal, and it's also a battery metal. It's used in utility scale storage to complement the solar and the wind, so you don't use that in the car per se. And that project also had over tens of millions of dollars of investment in the past years. So we felt like, given the current stance in the challenging, difficult market conditions, the two projects make a lot of sense to be combined.
So why did now make sense to pursue this acquisition? How come at this time you guys decided to do this?
Right. If nickel is being $30 or $40, and it was back in March, and the company is hundreds of over 100 million market cap, it makes a lot of sense to go on a standalone basis with a clear strategy to exit strategy, either to be sold to a major or go into production, and being able to raise the necessary fund to do justice of the project in exploration and construction of the project. But now, given the challenging market condition, so that we have to hunker down and make sure that we maintain a critical mass, maintain liquidity of the company, and then to ride out the storm while providing the upside on potentially two metals. Now, Aaron, the addition of the project is not just about adding resources. There's plenty of resources available to be had with a lot of the junior companies that are sort of in dire strait. But that project vanadium in particular is in Nevada. That's the #1 mining jurisdiction according to Fraser Institute. And secondly, the project in Nevada is very similar to Minago in that it's a very near permit status. So you have not one, but 2 projects in premium jurisdiction in North America that are near permit status. And that had also very well-established resource of over 350 million pounds of vanadium. And that's sort of on the nickel equivalent basis, around 30% of Minago's current resource.
That makes a lot more sense due to market conditions. So, in terms of Flying Nickel, can you give us an update on your projects? Anything that's going on there?
Yeah, so we have plenty of going on. As I said again, we're very bullish of nickel going forward. And Minago has really made a lot of strides. And as you recall, when I came on your program and we raised over close to $9 million in January and came out to the market, we had set up 3 major ambitious objectives. So it's a 3-pronged approach for the company going forward for this year, 2022. And that is exploration, feasibility study, and permitting. And we are on path to make major strides and accomplish the 3 major objectives by the end of this year. So on the exploration front, the company started drilling and completed the drill program between February and May. And it's 2,500 meter drill program on Minago, around 6 holes. There's a bit of a delay in the assay results, but they will be out within the next 4 to 6 weeks. And on the permitting front, we've made a lot of progress with the Manitoba province and the mining ministry. So we also expect to have major update on the Environmental Act license. And we're very optimistic and quite confident that a resolution could be had by the end of the year. That could make potentially Minago a shovel-ready project, one of the very few mining projects that will be shovel-ready and being fully permitted in Canada. One of the very few mining, not to mention nickel, probably the only one. And then third but not least, the feasibility study. We started feasibility study in February of this year. We did not waste any time. And we're scheduled to deliver a full-fledged feasibility study with proven and probable resource by the end of this year. So if somebody were to tell you for a budget of $5 million that you'll be able to secure all the necessary permit to go to the construction and a feasibility study, that's a final piece of technical study and a very robust exploration program, people would say it's get out of here. But nonetheless, we're on path to accomplish all 3 major those 3 major objectives this year.
Definitely, you guys have made great use of your capital, and I look forward to having you back on for those updates, hopefully in the near future. So, what are some of the major catalysts you see in the near term for Flying Nickel that, current and prospective shareholders should be looking out for?
Yeah, well, very similar to your earlier question. Those are the 3 major catalysts, right? You'll have the drill results that's coming out, a major update on the status of the company's application on the Environmental Act license. Just to be clear, that is a final piece of paper you need to put a shovel on the ground. All the baseline studies have been completed. All the consultation is being done. And we're in very good terms with the First Nations. I'm actually going up to Minago in a couple of weeks. And the sort of the issuance of the Act license should be sort of within the same realm of signing a final social impact settlement agreement with the First Nations. And the third but not least is a feasibility study that would enable the investors, institution, retail, or anybody who's interested to gain a complete picture of what the economics of the project looks like. Now, we have received solicited interest from major battery manufacturers, major auto manufacturers all around the world. I actually had 10 meetings yesterday. That was a record for me. And so I'm stumbling my words a little bit today. And I think those discussion is the pace and the progress of those discussions going to accelerate as we get that permit and we get the feasibility study out. So that will help us engage in a more concrete discussion regarding project financing, the capital required to get the mine into production, as well as the capital costs get into construction. and how that's going to be, and how the financing will have to be packaged up. So I think internally we had a lot of great progress. At the same time, I think once the feasibility and the permitting are out of the way, and that will only get the game started. And I think the momentum is only going to build from there.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for you guys. So with, this new acquisition, those three catalysts, what are you most excited about if you had to pick right now? I know it might be a difficult question.
In the end, we're still an exploration company.
Yeah.
And given the market cap of what we are, which is a fraction of what it was 6 months ago, and we have to be realistic and sort of build the company's value step by step. So in answering your question, what I'd be most excited about is likely the exploration results. The historical drilling in the last 10 years were only dedicated, mostly focused on the nose deposit within Minago. So that's where 80% of the resource resided. But there is a trend literally contiguous to the north, a bit of tubular extension to the main deposit. It's called the North Limb. And that had received very little attention, but there's always been what we believe to be as the best exploration potential. So we drilled a couple of holes in the North Limb, and to test the down dip extension, of which previous drilling had only reached a 200-meter depth. So we plugged a 500-meter hole right beneath where the previous intersection was. So if we can make, so we look forward to releasing the assays as soon as they become available. However, I think if a discovery is made, that could potentially be a game changer. Not only does it mean that the North Limb is open at depth to the same extent as the nose deposit, but then potentially the entire structure may be connected with this long corridor that extracts another 2 kilometers to the northeast, in addition to the sort of the pit design 1 kilometer radius. So think of it like a sphere and with a tubular extension bolted onto the north. So we're very excited that we've put the assay results, and that will be the first maiden drill assay results from the first maiden drill program. And that will be the first drill program in Minago's, in 10 years. And so I think that's going to really put the project on the map and putting investors on notice. And given the Minago's grade, and something we talked about, has some of the highest nickel grade of 0.74 for open pit optimized nickel sulfide project class 1 in North America. And the nickel grades for open pit has halved in the last 10 years because there's not been any new discoveries. And I think it's going to take a lot of investors to notice. And if the grades are anything comparable to what the historical drill results are, that we are, by a factor of 2 to 3 in terms of grades to a lot of our peers are trading on the Ventures Exchange. So that's something I think is going to really create hopefully a bit of a hailstorm for the company.
First results are always exciting. So, where's the best place for investors to find out more information about the company?
Yes, well, I think in parting comments, Aaron, you can always find me at Twitter. I've got about 2,000 followers. You just Twitter search John Lee at Battery Metals. And so that's my handle. And also can find a lot of information, technical studies of Minago at flynickel.com. And lastly, Aaron, if I could, I thought in the 20 years of mining history, I've seen it all, but something new always come up. Never seen a metals market go up 5 times within a week and have the metals exchange halted the trading for 2 weeks. The nickel, sort of the nickel hype is real. And what we see, I think in March, is on the tip of the iceberg. We have a lot of insights into guys that are looking for nickel and 5 to 10 years out. So that is really telling us something. Unfortunately, and it's a bit of a dichotomy, that an industry that requires the most patience, which is mining, sometimes there's a mismatch with investors that have the shortest fuse. So sometimes the crisis and opportunity, the valuation, the company has never been lower at around $15 million market cap in its 15-year history. And the pounds, the resources are real. They're in a premium location. And this is not just like who's got a bigger gun, right? Who's got more resources. We are potentially not having one project, but 2 projects that are fully permitted. And that may be, we believe they are imminent. So in the end, nickel and vanadium are solid fundamentals. Companies are rock solid, $3 million in treasury. And you know, the company, the nickel, $15 million is all we paid for the nickel project just a year ago. It's a fraction of what the investment is put in the ground. So I look forward to providing update to investors in the months to come. But right now, I think the risk-reward ratio has never been better in the 10 years that I have been managing this company, Aaron.
Definitely, John. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you for all those updates, and I look forward to having you back on. I know you guys are going to have a busy fall with, you know, results and everything else that you're up to with this acquisition. So let's chat again soon.
Perfect. Good to see you again, Aaron. Stay safe.
If you like these videos, kindly hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications. Drop us a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. And finally, always remember, Departures Capital is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. Don't buy or sell a stock because you heard it on here. Buy or sell a stock because you've done your research, you've done your thorough due diligence, and you're making your own personal investment decisions for yourself. This video is not financial advice. Furthermore, this video may or may not have been sponsored by the companies that we've profiled within this video, and we may or may not own shares of any of the profiled companies in this video. If you want to know the full disclosure details, check the description down below, along with thoroughly reading our disclaimer. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.